You know, it's a miracle some days.
I know how to do a live stream. Truly. And I'm going to start this off by answering a question. Gypsy says, I'm confused. Why does YouTube say this is live in 11 hours? Because your host is a dummy and he doesn't know the difference between AM and PM. I'm an idiot. That's all there is to it. I'm an idiot. But thank you for asking. And with that, I say the following. Hi, how are you doing out there in internet land? My name is Brian Trippett. I am the Front Porch Conservative, and even though I am confused between the difference of AM and PM, I am here, and this is Front Porch Brunch. We are gathered together as always on Rumble, on Twitter, and on that quaint little alternative social media platform known as YouTube, gathered together to make your weekends bright. Ah, the pause that refreshes. We're here to imbibe as need be. We're here to imbibe to whatever liquid we have available to us or that we choose to imbibe to. We are here to gather together to check up on the news and find out what the heck is going on in the world, and we're here to do it and have a whole lot of fun in the process. So yes, apologies for the confusions, but we are live right now. Anyway. My name is Brian Trippett. I am the Front Porch Conservative. I am sometimes known as the beau in the chapeau. I am sometimes known as the wise guy in the wide brim. But I am, above all else, in this moment in time, your host. Again, we are on Rumble, we are on Twitter, and we are on YouTube. So please do me some favors as always. Number one, if you are not a subscriber to this channel, please go ahead and subscribe. Even though the host is an idiot, he does have a good heart and he tries very hard. Hit the thumbs up, leave a comment in chat. Go ahead and do all those things that you guys do to make this show the success that it is. It is all greatly appreciated, all greatly noted, and all for the benefit of those involved. We thank you for being here on this fine and snowy Saturday morning, might I add. Oh my, we've got about 3 more inches of snow coming down here in West Virginia. It is all great. It is all crazy. It's just nuts. What can I tell you? Absolute madness out there. Absolute madness. Oh my goodness. Hang on a second, folks. I just whenever I think I'm ahead of the curve as far as getting things done, it never quite turns out that way. All right, that's it. I got the last of my stuff set up. I am good to go now. How are you guys doing out there? Oh, let's see. Who all is in the house this morning? Who all is in this crazy house that we have? Oh, let's see. I'm doing one last little tiny thing. There. Now my world is right. Now I can do this live stream and not feel like a complete nincompoop, even though I can't tell the time of day. That's just awful. Oh, goodness. Who all's out here this morning? Z Highness is in the house representing the 199. Mwah! Good morning, darling. Glad to see you. Happy brunch day. Happy brunch day indeed. Happy brunch day indeed. Yeah, front porch poetry. Yeah, jeez. Yeah, I'm a man of many talents, apparently, except the ability to tell time. I don't know. Good morning, Leanne. How are you doing, darling? So good to have you in the house this morning. One of our favorite crazy Canadians is here. Good to have you here, Adam. Fist bump. Boom. Let's see. Yeah. How much snow did you guys get around? I mean, Detroit, I don't know what the Detroit area's gotten, or Z Highness. I'm not sure exactly where you're at, but for those of you who have gotten snow either this morning or the past few days, how much snow have you guys have gotten? I'm mildly curious. I mean, we got 3 to 5 last Sunday and Monday. Now we got another 3. So we got about 8 total. And the thing is, it's not warm enough for it to thaw out. It's going to be here for a few days. I mean, we're going to have, in my area, we're going to have maybe a couple of days of above freezing temperatures next week. And after that, we're in the ice box. I think Tuesday and Wednesday night of this week, it's going to be like, the high is going to be in the 20s and the lows will be at 0. It's just crazy. I mean, don't get me wrong. If we're gonna have winter, let's have winter and get it over with. So, okay. Oh, you got a little over a foot up there in Detroit land. Oh, okay. All right. My goodness. Okay. Adam says he had finished shoveling 2 hours ago. We had squalls during the night in Canada. Oh my goodness. Goodness me, goodness me, goodness me. All right. All right. Let's see who's over on the Rumble side. Got to say hello to them wing nuts over there because you know they's all hanging out together. WWG1, he's been busy this morning. He's been giving me a whole bunch of memes, which we'll be using throughout the show. TBA is here, says, good Saturday morning, Fedora Nation. Oh, man, I see WWG1 has been busy. Yes, he has. Yes, he has. Oh, my goodness. TBA, he's all fired up this morning. Ooh, goodness. All right, you know what? TBA, I don't know what this link is on Twitter, but it just might make it into HodgePodge stew because I got quite a few items set up for HodgePodge. But let's see what this is real quick. Hang on, folks. Oh, you know that might you know what? Forget HodgePodge. That's going straight to the front, dude. That's gonna make it up front in the Merry Memes. Even though it's not a meme, it is some food for thought. So yeah, thank you for providing that, brother. Oh, goodness me, goodness me. All right, Leanne says, we had 5 inches on Monday, 3 more today. My switchback driveway is a sheet of ice. I don't know what it was like where y'all are at, but I did something the other day that I didn't think I would ever have to do. Now, here's what it was like in my area. We had about 3 to 5 inches of snow, and then a quarter to a half an inch of ice on top of that. So my normal mode of operation whenever I get a snowstorm in my area, especially if I've got advance warning that it's coming, and honestly, the meteorologists at my local TV stations, they're all pretty good. I'm not going to drop any names here, and that's not because I dislike any of them. It's just, I mean, for most of you guys, it wouldn't really mean that much. But the meteorologists in my area are pretty good at what they do, so I had pretty good advance warning this was coming. My mode of operation is I'll just go out and buy a crap pile of food. I'll go out to the wood pile out back of the house. I'll bring in a bunch of firewood, and I'm just going to hole up. I'm not going out anywhere. That said, I had some company come by the house on Friday, so I thought, okay, I really shouldn't be so rude as to make them trudge through snow and ice. So I went out and tried to clear a path for them, which I did. I had to take a pickaxe. I'm not kidding about this. I had to take a pickaxe to break up the sheets, and literally they were talking sheets of ice. I mean, I could have flipped them for frisbees. That's how thick they were. Sheets of ice out of my driveway. It was insane. Absolutely insane what I had to do, which, I mean, it was fine. I mean, I didn't care to do it. I mean, like I said, if left to my own devices, I would just stay holed up and, only go out if it's absolutely necessary. But I was just like, this is incredible. I'm literally having to take a pickaxe to get through this ice, to get down to the actual concrete that is my driveway, just to be able to make a path for somebody. It was nuts. Absolutely nuts. Crazy. Anyway, I'm sure you guys didn't come here this morning to hear about my driveway or my snow shoveling efforts. So tell you what, how about we get down to business? Somebody said something the other day. No, actually, it was Gary Beekler from Nerdrotic. He was hosting Friday Night Tice, and he said, "You guys do realize we're only 10 days into this new year, and all this crazy stuff has already happened." And I was like, "Yeah." I mean, I thought to myself, "Yeah, Gary, you're absolutely right, man. That's crazy. 10 days in, and there is more news than you can shake a stick at." And we're going to talk about a couple of big items that I want to get into really in depth. And then, we got some HodgePodge stew at the end of it. But we're going to start, as we are wont to do, with the Merry Memes section of the show. So let's just get right down to it. I have to thank TBA for this first one. And it was not necessarily on my original list of merry memes, but you know what? This is some food for thought. And I think it definitely ought be, well, crap. What'd I do here? I'm already off to an auspicious start. Here we go. Here's some food for thought for you. Tyrannical little men have slowly eroded the freedoms that the founders afforded us by offering security and leaving us with neither. Some examples. Robert Reich, former Secretary of Labor, is 4'11". George Stephanopoulos is 5'4". General Milley is 5'3". Jerry Nadler, a congressman from New York, is 5'3". Dr. Tony Fauci is 5'5" tall. Volodymyr Zelensky is 5'6". Secretary of Department of Homeland Security Alejandro Mayorkas is 5'2". Merrick Garland is 5'6". NBC journalist Chuck Todd is 5'2". And Congresswoman Shushila Jayapal is 4'11". Marxist midgets. So now that said, here is a notable exception to the rule. As Leanne rightly points out, her husband is 5'3", but that does not make him an enemy of freedom. So, there are notable exceptions to this rule, but I do thank TBA for bringing this one to our attention. Yes, thankfully your husband is not a Marxist. Otherwise, you'd have not only divorced him, you'd have shot him. Just kidding, YouTube. Just kidding. Okay. TBA says, yeah, I don't see Leah Payne's husband trying to take over the country. Neither do I, and thank God for that. Yeah. Oh, my word. Adam's already at it this morning. Oh, my goodness. Now, WWG1, there you are over on Rumble trying to stir it. I mean, TBA gives a ringing endorsement for Leanne's husband and saying he won't try to take over the country, and then you're sitting there going, that we know of. See how you are. Just stir that pot, big boy. Oh, my gosh. All right. Some more food for thought. And I'm just going to pop this one up here and just let it sit. And this is no disrespect to the dead, okay? Just consider the following. In 1979, this former president started the Department of Education. Ever since then, the U.S. has gone from 1st to 24th in education. As I say, we are not here to speak ill of the dead, but it does sort of beg the question. Does a national department of something really make the thing that is supposed to be the department of any better? I ask you. Anyway. TBA says the Department of Education is the last agency to actually educate. Boy, ain't that the truth. Well, apparently, TBA, you have stirred it up over here because Gypsy says, my dad was 5'7". He would often say that short people have better hearts. Whatever. My dad was the most generous, heartfelt man. Well, like I say, exceptions to the rules. Exceptions to the rules. And Gypsy, if your dad, if the fruit does not fall from the tree, your dad must have been one extremely nice guy. So God love him. God bless him. Goodness me. All right. What else do we have in the way of the merry memes this morning? Yes. Very important public health announcement. As you all are fully aware, there is quite the concern about bird flu. Okay. And you've got people like Dr. Peter Hotez, and you've got the World Health Organization and other organizations out there very concerned about, making sure that we take appropriate precautions lest we get into another worldwide pandemic. Translation, whether can we get the U.S. to do a bunch of things again they really shouldn't do that are not in their best interest. Oh, I'm sorry. Did I say that out loud? Shame on me. Well, someone has come up with a very clever way to cut this thing off at the pass so that we really don't have to worry about bird flu this year. I mean, you know what? If this solution was good enough for everybody in America and around the world, I don't see why we can't do the same thing here. I mean, I agree completely with this public health announcement. That seems like to me there's really only one solution in our battle against the bird flu. And you know what? This is it. I mean, it makes perfect sense to me. We just need to start rounding up all these birds, put masks on them, and voila, our problem is solved. You know, it makes sense to me. I mean, hell, they made everybody else wear masks back in the day. How come we can't do that? I don't know. Just it seems kind of commonsensical to me. I don't see why we just don't do it that way. So, oh, great. Here, are you wearing your tinfoil hat this morning, my dear? Oh my gosh, y'all just goodness me. Oh, well, now there's an idea. This is how we'll get them to do. We'll put seed in the bird mask. Smart thinking, young ladies. Smart thinking indeed. Oh my gosh. Now, we're all trying to find ways of taking, good care of our pets. And, what do you do to help them out? That sort of thing. Well, WWG1 found a unique and interesting way to keep your cats from getting too dry during the winter. And you know what? This is not necessarily a bad idea. I'm just saying. I mean, you put a humidifier, there's the cat. You don't have to worry about water bowls or anything like that. I mean, look at this cat. This cat is absolutely just altogether happy with itself. Look at that. You know? That, you honestly, WWG1 WWG1 is truly up to something here. I think he's on to something. We've got to find a way to help our pets through these times, these harsh winters that we go through. So, this is not a bad idea. I think it's not a bad idea at all. And apparently this is the WWG1. You have provided one of these good ones here. I mean, look at this. There you go. There you go. So, cat would love it. No more footprints. Where's Zippy when I need him? I want Zippy's opinion on this one. Daggone it. Chris from My Morning Mayhem has popped in over on the Rumble chat. Good morning to you, sir. Glad to have you in the house. And thank you again for having me on your channel earlier this week. And also, while I am thinking about it, I need to thank Kelly Lamb, formerly of Rebel News, and Sean from the Third Railify channel for stopping by Thursday night to talk Canadian politics. And let me tell you something. I had people off the stream. The lady was saying, I knew nothing about Canadian politics before you guys ran that stream. And she's like, I feel a whole lot better educated. Thank you for doing that one. And, for a host, that makes me feel good. We're providing information here that is useful to people. And, so again, much thanks to Kelly and much thanks to Sean for stopping by Thursday night for the conversation. That was a really good one. I mean, I'm sitting there going, man, we think we got troubles down here in the U.S. And believe me, we do. We do. Yeah, that was a great live stream. Chris from My Morning Mayhem says, I think Kelly may be on Sean's show tonight. Not 100% sure, but I believe that's the plan. Just an FYI. Okay. Sean from Third Railify has a live stream going tonight. Chris, what time is that? Is it 10 p.m. Eastern? I think that's when he usually runs it, but I don't want to misspeak myself here. I think it is 10 p.m. Eastern. Okay, I am right about that. 10 p.m. Eastern tonight, Third Railify. Go check out Sean. The dude is absolutely hysterical. And you know what? He's a whole lot better at this than what he thinks. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to do anything here other than just encourage him, but I'll tell you what, Sean is a fantastic host. He really is. Very smart, extremely funny. Oh my gosh. You never know what's going to come out of that boy's mouth. So go check him out tonight. Kelly Lamb may be hanging out with him on his live stream tonight at 10 o'clock. But either way, Sean's a load of fun. Go check him out. So there you go. All right. What else do we have here in the way of the Merry Meet? Today, we are down to... You know what? If you wear a leopard skin tonight and you drop that in chat, Sean's going to get the biggest kick out of that. I'm telling you right now, he will. I'm telling you, he's on to something with that leopard print, man. He's absolutely on to something with it. It's crazy. As you all know, we are down to 9 days before Donald John Trump takes his oath as the 47th president of the United States. And you kind of, during these times of they're leading up to this, there are certain things that happen at the White House. Because, I mean, look, let's be honest. The White House is one of the biggest operations in the world, and operations in so many different senses. And logistically, it's a place that, runs like a Swiss clock. You have to keep things, moving all the time, especially during a transition between presidencies. So that said, we got a little inside look into, the transition from Joe Biden to Donald Trump. And with that, we have a 2-minute video. I thought you guys get a kick out of this. So let's check it out. This apparently is the, I'll just let him speak for himself. As always, give me a sound check. Let me know if you can hear everything okay. And with that, here we go.
Let's see. Spoon, lighter, baggie of... Oh, I bet this is from Bring Your Kid to Work Day. My name's Nick Peterson, and I'm the White House's Director of Transfer of Power. It's a fancy title for someone who cleans out the president's desk. It's usually a boring job, tossing notepads, old calendars, things a normal commander-in-chief would use at his desk. Joe Biden's desk, however, was like cleaning out the prop closet for the Naked Gun. Running a country for dummies. Mint condition. More of that at the beach and less James Patterson, and I wouldn't be cleaning out your desk. The worst part? I guess the worst part was scrubbing dried ice cream out of the carpet underneath. I'm not complaining, though. I had to clean up after Bill Clinton's term. So there's a painting underneath here, signed by Hunter and purchased by his dad at an inflated rate, no doubt. Quite the artist. The con type, but an artist nonetheless. Between you and me, I thought I was going to be doing this a lot sooner. I figured Kamala was going to pull the old security cameras are down trick and serve him up a scoop of death by chocolate. Oh, look. America's checkbook is empty. Fun fact, the president's chair is usually cleaned up and then moved to a museum or showroom of sorts. Biden's chair was deemed a health hazard, simply for the fact that it had seen more blowouts than an episode of Jersey Shore. Looks like he recently carved, "For a Good Time, Call Harris." Must have been right after he got Tanya Harding. When Joe Biden started in politics, Elvis Presley was still alive. We had just landed on the moon a few years prior. If he had gotten a second term, they were going to rename this place the Oval Hospice. I think that's everything, just the letter opener. Industry secret. When discarding dangerous objects, it's best to dispose of them properly and not just leave them for the Taliban.
Well, there you go, folks. Now you have an inside look at what it's like in the transition, between presidents of the United States. I mean, there's a whole crew that goes into the Oval Office, starts doing things. You want the link on that one? Absolutely. Hang on a minute. I will do this on both sides. All right, there it is on Rumble, there it is on YouTube, and here it comes on Rumble, which I know if you went back to the very top of the conversation in Rumble, you'd find it. But if anybody's looking for it, that is absolutely pricelessly funny. So WWG1, hat tip, brother. Hat tip indeed. Yeah, goodness me. Now, you kind of have to feel sorry for celebrities right now for a lot of reasons, particularly movie stars. Look, we're going to get into a discussion about the California wildfire situation in a little bit. But I mean, some of these people have lost their homes. They're losing their jobs. Hollywood is getting, financially contracted from all sides, and some of them are so frustrated by the fact that Donald Trump has been reelected that, they are threatening to move out of the country. As a matter of fact, some of them are threatening to move up to Canada. Well, to give you an idea how bad things are for, the modern star in Hollywood these days, man, they're making the threat to move to Canada. Trump's like, well, don't worry, I'm going to make Canada the 51st state. You can't get away from this guy. You just you can't get away from him. I mean, these Hollywood stars think they'll go to Canada. Well, fine. Trump's going to annex Canada and make it the 51st state. I mean, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Oh, my goodness. Oh, wait a minute. Wait, what? What is this? Really? Hang on a minute. Because this morning it was $9.95. What is this? Hang on. If that's jumped, I will. Hold my cow! It is $9.96. Four away. Oh, thank you, Adam. I did not realize that. Oh my gosh. 4, and we're ahead 1,000, folks. Just saying. Just saying. We're going to, Gypsy, hold on. We're going to get into that. We're going to get into that during HodgePodge too, because there is a slightly serious and a slightly funny take that I've got. So y'all just hang on. Anyway. Yeah, I thank you for that, Adam. I did not realize that I'd picked up one more this morning, so I'm tickled to death with that. Oh my goodness. Anyway. Yeah, again, Z Highness, hang on to it, darling, because we're going to get into this. We will get into it. Make no doubt about that. All right, we got a few more merry memes to get through. So, get out of there. Get out of there. Donald Trump has had a very busy transition from November 5th to January 20th, and he's still working on it. I mean, there's a lot of things you got to do. You got to hire personnel. You got to get equipment in. You've got to, crap, there's things you got to buy for the White House. Well, Donald Trump's been doing a lot of shopping, and it looks like his cart is indeed pretty full. I'm not sure if he's checked out yet, but, in the shopping cart so far, he's got Canada, he's got Greenland, he's got the Panama Canal. I don't know about you guys, but I think that's a pretty healthy shopping cart full of stuff. So let's see if Trump gets out of there with everything that he intends to buy. That's all I'm saying. Oh, and don't worry, we will do a show for the 1,000. When we crack 1,000, we're doing a special live stream for that one. Absolutely, we will. That's going to happen. So thank you, Gypsy. But yeah, it's coming. TBA says, when Trump adds Australia and New Zealand, his cart will be full. Well, I'm not so sure I'd want to buy Australia, but I tell you what, if we got our hands on New Zealand, I don't think I'd be very upset about that. New Zealand is absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. I mean, I remember watching the Lord of the Rings movies, the first 3, which to me is the only trilogy that Peter Jackson should have ever done. Don't get me wrong, I love The Hobbit, but anyway. But yeah, I wouldn't mind if we got our hands on New Zealand. Wouldn't bother me in the slightest. Now, Trump's got that in his shopping cart, but I think he's not exactly happy with one of the potential purchases. As you all know, Donald Trump Jr. went up to Greenland on a visit to just kind of check things out for his dad. But I think when Donald went up there, I don't think he was real happy because he kind of looked around and came to the following conclusion. It's not really that green. It's not that green. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. It's beautiful, and it's the most beautiful country we're ever gonna buy. But it's just not that green. I don't know what to do. So yeah, I'm not so sure that we're going to retain the name Greenland if we wind up acquiring that piece of property. However, that said, there have been some names suggested for the new territory that the United States would be getting its hands on. And you know what? I can't necessarily disagree with this idea. I mean, why not call it Mara Igloo? Be kind of nice. I mean, you got a Mar-a-Lago in the south. You could call it Mara Igloo and be done. Oh, Gypsy's already all right. She's ready to make a move up there, folks. She's ready to go. So there you go. She's ready to make a move. Get on it. As Camelot might say, get on it, doggone it. So there you go. Oh, goodness me. Now, just a couple of more. Now, there has been a joke made in recent days. It's like, okay, we're going to get our hands on Greenland. We're going to get our hands on the Panama Canal. We may be annexing Canada. And then there's some discussions about the Gulf of Mexico. Should we just go ahead and rename the thing? So, don't know. Well, there is one thought about why we might actually want to rename it. And here you go. A language warning, ladies and gentlemen, just so that I do my due diligence. There is a slight language warning on this one. So with that, enjoy.
So the renaming of the Gulf of Mexico into the Gulf of America, that chess move has just gone right over everybody's heads. It's chess, people. Trump is playing chess. The potato head in chief, that senile old fuck that's up for retirement, put a ban on offshore drilling in the Gulf of Mexico. Easy workaround, we rename it the Gulf of America. We ain't drilling for oil in the Gulf of Mexico. We're drilling for oil in the Gulf of America, bitches. That's how that one fucking works. No more fucking around. People thought fucking Trump was rough his first go around. This time, there's no more fucking around. We don't give a flying fuck what names the liberals call us. This is called getting shit done and fixing fucking problems. And anybody saying like, oh, you can't just take the Panama. The fuck we can't just take the Panama Canal. We built the motherfucker. Jimmy Carter gave that shit away. I did not know what a piece of shit Jimmy Carter was and how he mistreated the farmers. And that dude just fucked up all the way around. And that's why he got annihilated.
All right, so there you go. I won't play the rest of it, but I think you get the general gist of what's going on here. All right, Biden wants to put a ban on drilling in the Gulf of Mexico. Fine. We'll just rename it the Gulf of America and move right on down the road. So, and I don't know if that's going to happen or not, but I think that'd be funny if it did. However, there has been one alternative idea given for what to rename that body of water that encompasses the United States and its surrounding nation of Mexico. And you know what? I'm not necessarily opposed to this idea. I mean, what if we renamed it the Gulf of Buc-ee's? I think that'd be kind of funny, actually. I mean, Texas would be real happy. The Texans would be the Texans would be all happy with that. And you know what? We even have a third idea for what you rename it. Small Time says, look, why don't we just rename it the Gulf of Redneck? I'd be happy if we call it. That's great. That is absolutely great. That is hysterical. Oh my. All right, now we're getting some ideas. The Gulf of Taco Benders. Jeez. Y'all are awful. Tell you what. TBA says, we could call it the Gulf of Texas. I mean, WWG1 says, we could call it the Gulf of Beef Jerky. I don't know what you go. Oh my gosh. Oh, now we're just getting silly here. The Gulf of Ponderosa? Oh my God. That's just, y'all are crazy. Y'all are just absolutely crazy. I love you guys. So I got to thank WWG1. I got to thank Adam. I got to thank a whole bunch of other people for all the merry memes. It's all greatly, greatly appreciated. Okay. Let us walk into the first car on this train, and we will get into a discussion of something that happened on Friday, which I had thought about doing a video. I thought, no, I'm gonna hold off on this. I'll just wait till Saturday morning and do it. Donald Trump, the sentencing in Judge Juan Marchand's court in New York City took place Friday morning. And I want to get into a couple of different aspects of this. One of them is the sentence itself, and one of them is the denial by the Supreme Court on a request from Trump to stay the sentencing. Okay. Now, you guys kind of know where I stand on this one. Donald Trump never should have even been brought into a courtroom. This case never should have seen the light of day. Alvin Bragg should have followed his first instinct and never brought this case to trial. However, with some pressure and creative legalese from Matthew Colangelo, the former number 3 man at the Department of Justice, who resigned his position in the Biden administration to go slumming in the Manhattan DA's office. And there was no collusion between the Biden administration and the various lawfares that took place against Trump. Yeah, funny. Then how do you explain the number 3 man at the Department of Justice goes slumming in the DA's office? I don't get it. But anyway, you guys know where I stand on this. So the Supreme Court, back in June, late June of 2024, ruled that certain aspects of presidential actions have immunity and you cannot prosecute them for actions taken while in office. And in that ruling, there were a lot of things that more or less should have gutted the jury decision in the supposed hush money case against Trump that Alvin Bragg brought in Manhattan. But it didn't. And Marchand kept ruling, no, we're going to have a sentencing. The election dragged on. Well, finally, he's now ruled on the sentencing. But before that happened, before Judge Marchand handed down his sentence to Trump, Trump's lawyers made an appeal to the Supreme Court. And a lot of my conservative brethren are shocked by the result. And in one sense, I'm not going to lie, I am too. Okay? Especially given the ruling back in June. And I'm going to play a clip here in a minute from Mike Davis from the Article 3 Project. And he's got a perfectly valid point. Oh, TBA, I saw your comment over there, brother. We're going to get into a discussion of Justice Barrett here in a second. Okay? So the court hands down a ruling which surprised a lot of people. And like I said, to a certain degree, I was a little bit surprised. But then again, when I saw who was involved in the majority's decision, I'm like, okay, I'm not shocked. So let's just get right to it. Headline from CNN, Donald Trump can be sentenced Friday in hush money case, Supreme Court says in a 5-4 ruling. Article written by John Fritz for CNN.com. We have the following. Dateline, Washington, D.C. President-elect Donald Trump can be sentenced Friday in his New York hush money case, the Supreme Court said in a 5-4 ruling. The High Court on Thursday rejected Trump's emergency request to delay the proceeding, setting the stage for him to be sentenced just days before he's inaugurated on January 20th for a second term. 4 conservative justices, Thomas, Alito, Gorsuch, and Kavanaugh, said they would have granted Trump's request. Chief Justice John Roberts and Justice Amy Coney Barrett joined the court's 3 liberals to side against Trump. Now, the court issued a brief 1-paragraph statement as far as why they did this. And I'm going to read the statement, okay? And it goes like this. The application for stay presented to Justice Sotomayor and by her referred to the court is denied for inter alia the following reasons. First, the alleged evidentiary violations at President-elect Trump's state court trial can be addressed in the ordinary course of appeal. In other words, okay, he'll be sentenced, but he can always, appeal this, after the sentence comes down. Number two, the burden that sentencing will impose on the president-elect's responsibilities is relatively insubstantial in light of now listen to this next line. In light of the trial court's stated intent to impose a sentence of, quote, unconditional discharge after a brief virtual hearing. Now, I want to key in on that phrase, in light of the trial court's stated intent to impose a sentence of unconditional discharge after a brief virtual hearing. I have a question for you guys. And let me pop this up here because I do want to read this. Good Logic believes John Roberts called Mershon and made sure Mershon would rule the way he did. Possible. Very possible. And yeah, that is exactly what it means. Now, I have a question for you guys. Have any of you ever heard of a judge prior to him laying down his sentence in a trial announcing what it would be? So, in other words, let's do it this way. Let's just say, for the sake of example, I'm a judge and I announce that I'm going to hand down sentence on a Friday. Have you ever heard of a case where I went out on a Wednesday and told everybody what I was going to do? I haven't. I've never heard of it. This has got to be one of the most unusual things I've ever heard of. Now, granted, you're dealing with a man who's just been elected president of the United States. He is technically the president-elect. He is going to assume office. The Electoral College has certified his victory. Everything's done, right? But laying that aside, have you ever heard of a situation where a judge, prior to the day he actually hands down his sentence, announces to the world what the sentence is going to be? That's crazy. And it may be that Mershon played a trick on the court. I want to take you to a clip from Just the News, which is a show hosted by John Solomon and his co-host Amanda Head. 6 o'clock Eastern, Monday through Friday. You can find it on Real America's Voice. Great show, by the way. And John Solomon and Amanda Head are two fantastic reporters. Amanda Head is interviewing Professor Emeritus Alan Dershowitz, legendary trial lawyer, legendary professor of law at Harvard. And Dershowitz had a very interesting take on this, and I want you guys to hear it because Mershon may have either, I'll put it this way. Either Mershon fooled the Supreme Court in a way that made them rule the way they did, or, as suspected, somebody at the Supreme Court, possibly John Roberts, made a phone call to Mershon and go, how are you intending to sentence on this matter? Because we got a case up here. We kind of got to need to know what to do. One of those two things happened. Dershowitz is of the opinion that Mershon put one over on the Supreme Court. Now, I'm going to let him put it in his own words. Check this out.
This was a game today. What happened is Judge Mershon decided to outsmart the Supreme Court. So he announced in advance that he wouldn't send him to jail. I know of no judge in my 62 years of practice and writing who has ever announced in advance what he's going to sentence the person to. Generally, when I go to court with a criminal defendant, I tell him to bring his toothbrush because we don't know whether we're going home or whether he's going to prison. But this judge deliberately announced in advance that he wasn't going to sentence him in jail in order to get the Supreme Court not to take the case. And when the Supreme Court didn't take the case, what happened is they basically said, since he's not going to jail, we don't have to consider the case now. We can wait until the appeal comes up. if they didn't know whether he was going to jail or not, they might very well have taken the case. So what happened is Judge Merchan played a trick on the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court fell for it.
Okay, now that's Dershowitz's take on this. And I get it. I understand. Dershowitz is not everyone's cup of tea, and you know what? I totally respect you on that one. Nothing wrong. WWG1 says, was this a question of bait and switch? I don't know how to describe it. I don't know how you describe this. Good morning from across the pond, my brother. I don't know how you describe it. I mean, Dershowitz has a legitimate point here. Laying aside the possibility that some have reasoned, for example, Joe Neerman, a.k.a. Good Logic. Neerman's theory is that Chief Justice Roberts called up Merchan and goes, hey, look, man, okay, how are you getting ready to sentence on this thing? Because we got this case here. We kind of got to need to know what you're going to do in order for us to determine what we're going to do. Let's lay that aside for a second, okay? Possible. Not saying it didn't happen, but possible. But assuming it didn't, and Merchan announced in advance, look, I'm not going to sentence him to jail. I'm going to give him, what we would call unconditional discharge. All right, so the Supreme Court hears that, and they're thinking to themselves, hey, well, we don't need to do anything about this because go back to their statement. In light of the trial court's stated intent to impose a sentence of unconditional discharge after a brief virtual hearing, the court knew what he was going to do. The court knew Merchan was going to hand down, this sentence of unconditional discharge. Now, like I said, whether they knew it via a phone call to Merchan or whether they just reasoned it based on Marchand's public statements, either way, they said, hey, they're not going to sentence him to jail. We don't need to take this case. Which, frankly, I think is bogus. Regardless of how the judge intends to rule, you're asked a question of the law. You should rule on this. Because there's so much in this case that absolutely ought to be, just on its face, it ought to be overturned. Yet they punted and said, well, hey, look, he can appeal, after the sentencing, he can appeal this, through the normal channels. And besides, he's not going to go to jail anyway, so there's no reason for us to rule on this. What a cop-out. What an absolute cop-out. Now, am I surprised? No, not with the Roberts court. John Roberts is not a judge. John Roberts is a politician in a black robe. And Amy Coney Barrett, and I'm not going to say I was one of them, okay? Because I'm not going to lie, I kind of went back and forth on Barrett's nomination. I was like, okay, well, Trump seems pretty high on it. Must be pretty good. Little did I realize, and there were people out there sounding the warning bell, Robert Barnes being among the chief among them, warning everybody, you don't want Barrett on the court. Her rulings as a district judge, as an appellate judge, you don't want her on the... Well, sure enough. Barrett gets on the court, and what's she doing? Yep, she's doing she is going to be the 21st century version of Sandra Day O'Connor. Tragically. Oh, yeah, no doubt, my dear. No doubt. Barrett was a horrible choice. And you and a lot of other people were like, don't put her on the court, and Trump did it anyway. So, or another way of looking at it, she might be the female Roberts. Kavanaugh I have a little bit more hope for. And again, Kavanaugh's not going to make every decision that I like, but I got a little more hope for Kavanaugh at least. But Barrett and Roberts, ugh. I kind of hope Trump gets that either Sotomayor or Kagan retire. Maybe he gets a chance to redeem that mistake. I don't know. We'll see. But anyway, so that sort of begs the question. What is a sentence of unconditional discharge? That's a good question. I take you to the pages of Politico.com. Hang on one second. Let me do something here real fast I kind of need to do. There we go. Thank you. Trump was sentenced to unconditional discharge. Here's what it means. The president-elect's sentence allows the guilty verdict to stand, but it is highly unusual for this type of crime. Article by Ben Johansson, we have the following. Dateline, Washington, D.C. President-elect Donald Trump was sentenced Friday morning for his criminal conviction in the Manhattan hush money case, positioning him to become the first convicted felon in the White House. The punishment for his crimes? There isn't one. A jury last year convicted Trump in his New York case of 34 counts of falsifying business records to cover up a payment to porn star Stormy Daniels in the final days of the 2016 presidential campaign. That conviction, which is a Class E felony offense, is eligible for up to a penalty of 4 years in prison and several $1,000s in fines per count. But New York Judge Juan Marchand instead issued a so-called unconditional discharge, a decision that will spare the incoming president any jail time, fines, or probation. Quote, this court has determined that the only lawful sentence that permits entry of judgment of conviction without encroachment on the highest office of the land is a sentence of unconditional discharge, Marchand said at the sentencing. So what does unconditional discharge even mean? And who else has received this type of sentence? We'll catch you up here. Unconditional discharge essentially means the case is over, the conviction stands, and no further conditions attach, said Barbara McQuaid, a former U.S. attorney and law professor at the University of Michigan. That means no prison time, no fines, no community service, no probation, no nothing. It's essentially a resolution that allows the conviction to stand and preserve the sanctity of the jury's verdict, but ensures that there are very limited consequences stemming from the conviction, said Sarah Krisoff, former federal prosecutor. She pointed out, though, that an unconditional discharge still carries some consequences. Depending on the state, for example, a felon may not be able to vote or own a firearm. Trump is barred from being able to purchase a firearm in either New York or Florida following his conviction, though he did vote for himself in the presidential election. There is always a loss of rights in connection with a conviction, Krisoff said. How common is it to get this sentence? An unconditional discharge is not uncommon in very low-level cases, said retired New York trial judge Jill Conviser. It is uncommon, but not unheard of in felony cases. So there you go. The conviction stands. The Democrats got, for now, what they want. They want the label of convicted felon on Donald Trump while he's in office, or at least while this works its way through appeal, which it will. I mean, Trump's people are going to appeal this, and well, they should. Case never should have seen the light of day. Never, ever should have seen the light of day. And as far as Amy Coney Barrett, well, like I said, Mike Davis, the head of the Article 3 project, was being interviewed by Benny Johnson, and he had quite a few things to say about this. Check it out.
Mike, really quickly here. Trump will win on appeal. They're giving him an opportunity to appeal now by sentencing him. Do you agree with this?
Yeah, I mean, he should win on appeal. I know that Amy Coney Barrett is a rattled law professor with her head up her ass, and so maybe she can stop knitting at night or whatever the hell she's doing and actually follow the law. I just can't understand with John Roberts and Amy Coney Barrett how you can be immune from criminal prosecution but not immune from criminal sentencing.
All right, hold it. I want to stop right there because Davis brings up a really good point. And this, I think, to me, is part of my rub with Roberts and Barrett on this. In June, you guys ruled that the president is immune from prosecution. Okay. Then explain to me, if he's immune from prosecution, how is it that he's not immune from sentencing? Because the sentencing in this case up in Manhattan has to do with actions that took place, granted, before he became president. I grant you that. But the payment to Daniels happened after he was sworn in. Well, That would seem to me would fall under actions of presidency. Well, if that's the case, and if he's immune from those actions, from prosecution for those actions, then how can you possibly sentence the man? You see where I'm coming from with this? Where Davis is coming from with this? Crazy. Absolutely crazy. Chris from My Morning Mayhem says, anybody think Trump really cares about owning a gun? I mean, let's be real. How many years does Trump have left? He's an older gentleman. He won't be out much longer. Just saying, well, okay, fair point. But still, this is a stain on a man's reputation. Doesn't matter to me if he's president of the United States or not. Absolutely crazy. Okay, now here's something. Some of Hunley's panel says Trump can own and carry a gun. So I don't really... Okay, well, maybe it is possible. Maybe the professor from Michigan is wrong in this case. So we'll see. We'll see. Oh, my goodness. It's just absolutely insane, this. And then you got one more opinion from Jonathan Turley. And I think Turley sums this up fantastically. Check this out.
The fact is that this is not a criminal case in my view, because there's no underlying crime. Bragg took a dead misdemeanor, zapped it back into life as this pile of felonies. He essentially tried a series of federal crimes that the Department of Justice rejected. And he was only able to do that by this enabling judge. And I was not nearly as harsh on Juan Merchan until I sat in his courtroom. I was quite shocked with his rulings. I thought that they were well outside the strike zone and showed a lot of bias. But now the good news is that this case can be appealed in whole, and those decisions can be reviewed.
That might be the only piece of good news that comes out of this. And frankly, there's enough material in that case, Marchand's rulings, everything else, that a reasonable court with a reasonable set of judges will be able to rule on this and say, ain't no way he ever should have been convicted. Ain't no way he should have ever been in the court in the first place. So that's what we got. So we'll see what happens from here. Okay. It's almost near the bottom of the hour, so let's do a real quick commercial. Hang on one second. Sorry about that, folks. If you have happened upon this live stream and you're enjoying what we're doing right now, the back and forth, the banter, the laughs, the informative information, I don't know, as opposed to non-informative information, I don't know. Anyway, my name is Brian Trippett. I'm the Front Porch Conservative, and this is Front Porch Brunch. This is a live stream that we do on the weekends, catching up on some items in the news. And, we get together, we hang out, we have some fun, we pour ourselves some, libations, be they alcoholic or not, hang out together, shoot the breeze. As my dad said, see if we can't solve all the problems of the world. We are on YouTube, we're on Rumble, we're on Twitter. If you're not subscribed to my channel, would you please do me a big favor? Go ahead and subscribe. I am 4 subscribers away from 1,000 on YouTube. God love you. I would genuinely appreciate it if you'd sub to my channel. If you are sub to my channel, would you share the link around to friends of yours that are looking for a home on the internet? Hey, and say, hey, this guy, he's a little funny. He's a little crazy, sometimes informative. Why don't you give him a sub and help the poor guy out? And while you're at it, hit the thumbs up, leave a comment in chat, do all those crazy things that you guys do to help this channel grow. And frankly, without you guys, this channel doesn't grow at all. So God bless every last one of you. And yes, when we hit 1,000 on YouTube, we're going to party. I don't know what kind of a party it's going to be, but we're going to celebrate. It might be something simple. I'm thinking about, we're going to do our best to make it fun for everybody. So absolutely, we're going to get together. Okay, let us move on to the next compartment of the train. And let's get some updates about the California wildfire situation. Well, thank you very much. I do appreciate that. Chris says, whoop, whoop, almost there, brother. Super stoked for you on the YouTube side. Thank you, Chris. yeah, I am. There's life in these old bones again. The closer we're getting, my energy levels are getting up. So good for me, and good for you guys too. You guys are, like I say, you are the fuel to the engine. If it weren't for you guys, this channel wouldn't be what it is right now, and it will get better and it will get bigger. So hang on, y'all. It's going to be a good ride. All right. I want to show you a political cartoon. And as you guys know, I love my political cartoons because I come from a different generation. I mean, this is the era of the meme. Okay. And the meme is the modern equivalent of the political cartoon, but I found one done by a gentleman named Branco that, gosh, if this does not sum up everything that's gone wrong with these California wildfires, I don't know what does. And I'm just going to put this up here and comment on it. You have left-wing policies that have set California ablaze. And then out of the smoke, we find poor forest management, no water. We shipped equipment to Ukraine. We cut $17.6 million out of the fire department's budget. Not enough firefighters after hundreds of firefighters, refused to get the jab. Green agenda. And in the meanwhile, California is burning. As a matter of fact, I'm going to drop the link for this cartoon in chat because you know what? If you get into a discussion of friends of yours, and frankly, I don't think anybody, regardless of their politics or their philosophical persuasions, are going to be able to defend what's happening out in California. I really don't. I think there's no way to defend this. But if you got some people who are like, well, Gavin's doing the best he can, and Mayor Bass, she's doing the best she can, and yada, yada. No. You just drop that on them. You drop that on them and let them look at it and think about it. TBA over on Rumble says, don't forget the 15-minute cities and rezoning for the wealthy so they can't rebuild their homes. Oh, yeah. No, and I forgot, there's also a theme song to this whole situation. It's called California Burning by the Mamas and the Papas. Thank you, WWG1, for reminding me about that. California burning down on a winter's day, or something like that. I don't know. Yeah, you will. By the way, if you will be safe and warm if you were in LA. Matter of fact, you'd probably be warmer than you ever planned on being, depending upon what street corner you're standing on. Oh my gosh. And by the way, in case you're wondering, the CYA has already started on this whole thing. Between Gavin calling for an investigation as to why the Palisades, the Pacific Palisades basin was emptied and offline, and then you got Mayor Bass and the fire chief in LA. They're at each other's throats. They're saying, well, you cut my budget. Well, it didn't make any difference, yada, yada, yada. Oh, believe me, the CYA is already in full mode out there, okay? Absolutely full mode. And we're going to get into a pretty detailed discussion about this. And some of these details you may have already heard about, so I apologize in advance. But I want to get into a discussion about this because I have a lot of friends of mine and friends, acquaintances, social media content creators, and I understand where they're coming from when they say, "Hey, we need to be, kinder to these people who've lost their homes and lost their possessions." And I get that, and I'm not saying any of their statements or criticisms are directed at me personally. These are kind of statements that are put out there broadly. But there needs to be some self-reflection here, okay? Because we, the American taxpayer, once again, are about to be asked to pay to clean up someone else's mess. And I'm not going to lie to you. I got a real problem with this one. I really do. I mean, don't get me wrong. As an American, I want to be known as one of the most generous, as a part of a group of people on this planet that are among the most compassionate, the most heartfelt, and more willing to help out in a time of need. Okay? I take that as a personal point of pride. I take it as a point of pride as a citizen of a nation on this planet. Okay? I have not a bit of problem with any of that. But I got a serious problem with us giving billions of dollars to California just so they can keep on doing the same old thing over and over and over and over and over again and not change their behavior, change anything about what they're doing, and it just keep on happening again and again and again. And I think you're going to see where I'm coming from, because I got some clips going back about 6-7 years to when Trump was in office the first time, discussions about this, which one of them we played the other night on the Wednesday night newsroom on Tracy Barkley's channel, Gen X Marks the Spot. But I'm sorry. I'm look, well, we'll get into it. But anyway, so let's start with some of the CYA. Okay. Oh, no. Gypsy, I'm with you on this one. I'm absolutely with you. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Just unbelievable. All right. From the LA Times. Did Mayor Karen Bass really cut the fire department budget? The answer gets tricky. Now, this is from the LA Times. Article by David Zaneisner. We have the following. Dateline, Los Angeles. When Mayor Karen Bass unveiled her budget plan for 2024 and 2025, she called for a 2.7% reduction in spending at the Los Angeles Fire Department. Her proposal, unveiled in April, sought $23 million in cuts to the department, with much of it focused on reduced equipment purchases. But while her citywide spending proposal was being reviewed, Bass was also in closed-door negotiations over a major boost in pay to the city's 3,300 firefighters. Those pay hikes, 4 years of raises, and an array of other financial incentives were not finalized till several months after her budget went into effect. The city council approved the firefighter raises in November, adding more than $53 million to the additional salary cost. By then, the council had also signed off on $58 million for new fire trucks and other department purchases. Once those two line items were added in, the fire department's operating budget actually grew by more than 7% compared to the prior fiscal year, according to the city's financial analysts. The issue of fire department spending, boring and burdened with specifics in normal times, is now a critical issue in Los Angeles following the massive destruction caused by a wildfire in Pacific Palisades, which continues to burn. The Eaton Fire, which has destroyed swaths of Altadena, is outside LA city limits. While the LA Fire Department's annual operating budget has been growing overall and is on track to exceed $950 million, the agency also had to scale back some of its operations. Bass and other officials said the reductions have not affected the department's ability to fight the Palisades fire. Oh, really? Really? It hasn't affected the department's ability to fight the fire. Yeah, then why are we seeing images of firefighters in Los Angeles using women's purses, pouring water into them at the fire truck, running up to a wall, and throwing the water over the wall to try to put out the flames? You want to explain that to me? I mean, you've got the LA Times trying to cover up and say, well, by the time you add in the increased salary for the firefighters and the fire trucks that were purchased, there was actually a 7% increase to the overall budget of the fire department. So really, and they're not using these words, but you can just see where this is going, right? You can see where this is going. Well, really, that means there was a big increase, so I don't think we need to blame the mayor and her budget cuts for part of the problems of putting out this fire. Oh, BS. Really? The budget cuts had nothing to do with it, huh? Nothing whatsoever. Yeah, it's funny. I take you to a letter issued by the fire chief, Kristen M. Crowley, fire chief for the city of Los Angeles. The letter is written to the fire commission. And I want to show you guys this. And matter of fact, I'm going to drop the link to this in chat. If you want to read this, take a look at it, because I think you will find this to be very, very interesting. Okay. Page 2 of said document. Summary. The Los Angeles Fire Department is facing an unprecedented operational challenge due to the elimination of critical civilian positions and a $7 million reduction in overtime variable staffing hours. In other words, shorthand for it is called V hours. These budgetary reductions have adversely affected the department's ability to maintain core operations such as technology and communications infrastructure, payroll processing, now listen to this part, training, fire prevention, and community education. In addition to these impacts, the reduction in variable staffing hours has severely limited the department's capacity to prepare for, train for, and respond to large-scale emergencies, including wildfires, earthquakes, hazardous material incidents, and large public events. Specialized programs and resources, such as air operations, tactical EMS units, disaster response, and community emergency response teams, which rely heavily on variable staffing hours, or V hours as they're called, are now at risk of a reduced effectiveness. This report provides an in-depth analysis of these cascading impacts, underscoring the critical need for resource restoration to ensure operational readiness, firefighter safety, and the delivery of high-quality public service. The mayor is saying there, the LA Times is saying there, trying to say, well, these staffing cuts had nothing to do with the reduction of effectiveness of our ability to deal with this firefighting situation. It's terrible out there, yada, yada, yada. They were warned back in December. The fire commission, which consists of the mayor herself, the members of city council, the clerk, everybody was warned. Guys, you're cutting money out of this budget and you're going to hurt our ability to be able to take care of stuff if something bad happens. I want to go to one other part of this report. And it's near the conclusion before you start getting into slides, etc. But I want to read this. Despite the Los Angeles Fire Department's unwavering commitment to delivering exceptional service to the city of Los Angeles, the elimination of critical civilian positions and a $7 million reduction in variable staffing hour funding has significantly hindered the department's operational effectiveness. Key impacts include delayed maintenance and upgrades, administrative backlogs, workforce equity challenges, and listen to this, reduced fire prevention capacity, delays in brush clearance inspections, R1 and R2 inspections, and after-hour fire inspections impact public safety and compliance timelines. Specialized operations impact, training and community engagement deficiencies, emergency preparedness and response. The Los Angeles Fire Department remains steadfast in its mission to protect the residents of Los Angeles. However, these reductions have compromised the department's ability to maintain essential 911 systems, fire and emergency medical communication systems, response to emergencies, and provide specialized services. The loss of key civilian positions exacerbate these challenges by overburdening remaining staff, delaying vital administrative processes, and hindering critical support functions that directly impact field operations. Addressing these deficiencies is imperative to ensuring the department's ability to deliver life-saving services, uphold firefighter safety, and sustain public trust in its ability to respond to emergencies and protect the community. They were warned this could happen. The mayor was warned. The LA Commission was warned. Everybody was warned about this. They were warned. They were told. As a matter of fact, I've got a clip here. Most of you all have probably seen large parts of it, but if you haven't, here is an interview done by Fox 11 out of Los Angeles with the fire chief talking about these budget cuts. And buddy, let me tell you, she's not a happy woman. And you know what? I don't blame her one bit. Listen to this.
What is your message to city administrators, starting with Mayor Bass?
My message is the fire department needs to be properly funded.
And it's not.
It's not at this point, and we've got the justification. We know where our gaps in service are. We know we need 62 new fire stations. We need to double the size of our firefighters. The growth of this city since 1960 has doubled, and we have less fire stations.
Let's repeat that, because those numbers are a little jarring. 20 years ago, you had more fire stations than you had now?
We had 112 fire stations. Now we have 106. And since 2010, we've had an increase, doubled our call volume, which is firefighters responding to calls, 55% increase with 68 less firefighters.
So the city funding is not keeping up with the city's needs in real time.
No, and that's what our firefighters need.
You know what? I'm dropping this one in chat. If you guys should ever want to look at it, it runs like 15 minutes. I played about a minute and a half clip of it. Okay. But this stuff needs to get out there. And granted, ours is a small channel. I'm not bemoaning that. But my point is this. This information needs to be shouted from the rooftop. Because the Democrats out in California and all around the country, they're already coming up with all the excuses as to why, it's this, it's that. No, it has nothing to do with their mismanagement. Deliberate mismanagement, might I add. Has nothing to do with their incompetence. It's everything else except them and their policies and the decisions that they've made. That's exactly what this is about. The CYA that's going on right now is absolutely astounding. Absolutely astounding. And now you've got reports that the mayor may or may not have fired the fire chief, which apparently at this point, that has not happened. I take you to the pages of the UK Daily Mail, one of my favorite papers from overseas. Chaos as LA fire chief called in to be fired by the mayor, but says she still has her job. Article by Josh Boswell, Daniel Gus for the dailymail.com. We have the following. Dateline, Los Angeles. Fire Chief Kristen Crowley is clinging on to her job by a thread, sources say, after she hugged staff goodbye and entered a meeting with the mayor. A source initially told dailymail.com on Friday afternoon that the fire chief had been fired, but the mayor's office told ABC7 Crowley still had her job. The office's official statement to the outlet was that the pair met without any reference to whether Crowley remained in her position. Quote, the mayor and the chief met. The priority remains fighting these fires and protecting Angelenos. But ABC7 reporter Josh Haskell added on social media that the mayor's office had officially denied the claims that Crowley had been fired. Oh, great. That's a real good idea. Fire the one person in the LA Fire Department outside of the firefighters that are risking their lives right now. Yeah, go ahead and fire the fire chief right in the middle of a crisis. That sounds like a real good idea. And you know what's going on here, right? Karen Bass, the mayor of LA, is feeling the heat over this thing, as well she should. And I don't mean just figuratively. Well, I don't mean just literally. I mean figuratively. She's getting a lot of heat for this. So she's got to find a scapegoat. Oh, here turns up a video from 2 months ago, from a month ago, where the fire chief is critical of my budget cuts. Well, we don't need any dissension in the ranks. Let's get rid of her. Oh, they're going to try to make the fire chief the scapegoat on this one. And you know what? As a general rule of thumb, I don't necessarily, take sides in a municipal pissing contest, but I'm with the fire chief on this one. Now, granted, I'm not saying her hands are clean on this either, because I've got some criticisms of her. But laying that aside, I'm actually with the fire chief on this one. She warned the mayor's office, the city commission, the county commission, everybody, guys, don't do this. Do not do it. You're making a mistake. Do not cut the budget on this. And you heard her in the interview. We've got fewer fire stations now than some years ago. We've got more demands for our services, and we don't have the budget resources to keep up with this. So, what exactly is the state of things out in Los Angeles? This is from CNN, and this was updated at about, call it 3 a.m. this morning. An update on the fires. The Palisades fire, there's 21,596 acres. 8% of it is contained. Just 8%. The Eaton, well, I'll tell you what, let me make this a little more real life. I've got a map here, it might help out. And let me do this. Let me run this over here. Yeah, that'd be better. All right. Hang on, guys. Give me 1 second here. Okay, here we go. Now just listen to this. Here's the map. The Palisades fire, 8% of it's contained. Eaton, which is over here, okay, 14,117 acres, and only 3% of this is contained. Kenneth, which is on the west side of Los Angeles, 1,052 acres, about half of that's contained. Well, that's good news. Hearst, up here, 771 acres. There's still 30% of it that's burning. Lydia, up here, smaller fire, 395 acres. Most of that's contained. There's one more area that's listed, which is called Archer, but I'm not sure where it falls on the map. But in the area of Palisades and Eaton, the two biggest fires right now, you're talking about roughly 35,000 acres, and only 11% of that fire is contained. Just incredible. Small time, you may be absolutely right, brother. You may be absolutely right about this. It's going to look like Chernobyl before it's all said and done. The fire, TBA says over on Rumble, the firefighters were told to save the Getty Museum. Oh my God, if that's true, I will absolutely crap my pants. Now, that's, and again, there are people that can do this far better than I can, but for right now, that's what we know. Okay. About 35,000 acres between Eaton and Palisades that are still burning, and only about 11% of it's contained, at least as of about 3 a.m. this morning. Okay, may have been updated a little bit. But it's a bad situation out there. Horrible. Now I want to get to something that just it's just bugging me about all this. Okay. So the other day, President Biden is holding a briefing at the White House and gives an update about the federal response to what's happening out in Los Angeles and California in general. Now, we could have a debate about what should the federal response be, not just to this situation, but to any federal disaster. Okay, you can have an argument about whether there should be a response, if so, how much, how coordinated. I mean, there's all kinds of aspects you can get into in that discussion, but there's a response that's going to happen here, okay? But Biden does something Well, gee, imagine that. He does something. Biden does something that goes above and beyond what is normally asked for in this situation. And I want to play this, and then I want to get into a discussion of something else. Okay. So with that, this is from the Associated Press, and this is from Biden's presser about the California wildfires.
I returned from Los Angeles last night, and the devastation out there is catastrophic in California. Thousands of houses, schools, businesses burned to the ground. Communities wiped out, lives lost, families forever changed. They're the worst fires to ever hit Los Angeles, ever. And as soon as these fires broke out, I approved the Fire Management Assistance Grant. That's a term of art and how we get help for local officials.
Okay. All right. So he approves a grant. All right. Kind of expected. You would think this should happen. All right. Fine. But it's what happens next, or what he tells everybody next, that starts really getting the hair on the back of my neck standing up.
Due to the magnitude of the disaster, I was talking with the governor. He requested if I could increase the federal funding that was authorized under this legislation from 75% to 90%. We're increasing.
Okay. Normal response is 75%. Newsom was like, look, can you help us out? Can you increase it even a little bit? Can you increase it to 90%? Now, here's Biden's response to that.
It to 100%.
We're going to pay for 100% of this.
Of all the costs to be covered by the federal government for both the fire management assistance grants and the elements of what they call the disaster declaration. So today I'm announcing that the federal government will cover 100% of the cost for 180 days. This is going to pay for things like debris and hazard material removal, temporary shelters, first responders' salaries, and all necessary measures to protect life and property.
Okay. So we, because keep in mind where the federal government gets its money from. Us. You, me, everybody, the taxpayers. The taxpayers of the United States are going to pay 100% of the total cost of the emergency declaration and the grant money that the federal government is giving California for this. I have a problem with that. Now, I can just hear some of y'all out there, not necessarily you guys in the audience, but I can hear some well-intentioned, well-meaning folks out there saying, oh, come on, Brian. They've lost everything. Have a heart. Have some compassion. Hold it right there. Just stop for a minute. With all due respect, nobody gets to question my level of compassion. Okay? I'm as compassionate as the next person. All right? I will do anything I can to help someone. But I have a problem with this. California, and small time, you already know where I'm going with this. We're paying for their mismanagement. Now, some people are going to read his statement and say, oh, man, that's almost as bad as Front Porch, man. You're being awfully, awfully hard about this. No, wait a minute. Let me ask you guys a question. If a gentleman, I don't want to phrase this. If a gentleman walked up to you and asked you for money and was reeking of alcohol and had a half-empty, fifth of Jack Daniels hanging out of his coat pocket and had the shakes and everything else, would you give him more money? No, you would come to the obvious conclusion, okay, this guy's got the shakes, he's a drunk, and I'm not going to give him money so he can keep on drinking. Guess what? We, the American people in the other 49 states surrounding California, are being asked to let a addict keep on being addicted. Now, what am I talking about? There are behaviors that California has engaged in that have exacerbated this problem. And now, because they screwed up so badly out there with fire prevention and management of their forests and everything else, and I'm supposed to pay for 100% of their bad behavior. Not just no, hell no, I got problems with this. And furthermore, Biden, that spiteful son of a bitch, yes, I said it, that spiteful SOB, is handcuffing Donald Trump and saying, hey, we're going to pay for it for up for 6 months. As opposed to saying, look, I'm president for the remaining 11 days. I'll pay for, and then Trump can make a decision from there. No. He's going to handcuff Trump and say, hey, you're paying for California for the next 6 months no matter what. If I were Trump, I'd be like, screw that. And there is a reason why, if I were Donald Trump, I'd be saying, screw that. I want to take you back in time to Donald Trump's first term. Now, I think we showed this clip the other night on Tracy's channel, but this needs to be repeated. Okay? Chris from My Morning Mayhem says, so we're paying for their mismanagement, but Florida, Georgia, the Carolinas, and Tennessee get crumbs from a once-in-a-lifetime storm. Get out of here. Exactly. I want to take you back to Donald Trump's cabinet meeting at some point in his presidency. I want you guys to hear this. He's having a cabinet meeting at the White House, and they're getting into a discussion about California. Listen to this.
We're giving billions and billions of dollars for forest fires in California. There's no reason for those fires to be like they are. They're leaving them dirty. It's a disgraceful thing. Old trees are sitting there rotting and dry. And instead of cleaning it up, they don't touch them. They leave them. And we end up with these massive fires that we're paying hundreds of billions of dollars to fix. And the destruction is incredible. So I think California ought to get their act together and clean up their forests and manage their forests because it's disgraceful. What's happening should never happen. I go all over the country and I meet with governors. The first thing they say is there's no reason for forest fires like that in California. So I say to the governor or whoever's going to be the governor of California, you better get your act together because California, we're just not going to continue to pay the kind of money that we're paying because of fires that should never be to the extent. They were telling me in a couple of states, I won't even mention their name, it's like a flash. Some grass will burn. It'll be over in minutes. They'll lose 2 acres, 3 acres at the most. They won't even lose that. And here we are with thousands of acres and billions of dollars every year. It's the same thing every year. And they don't want to clean up their forests because they have environmental problems in cleaning it up. It should be the opposite because you're going to lose your forests. You're losing them. But it's costing our country hundreds of billions of dollars because of incompetence in California. So the people, I'm speaking now for the people of California, they don't want to see this happen. They're getting destroyed. And it's hurting our budgets. It's hurting our country. And they just better get their act together. I'm sorry.
This was at least 6 years ago. That's a great point. Great point. Great point. Where's Congress in this? Are they involved? Should they be involved? Supposedly they're the ones control the purse strings. Joe's just handing out money like candy. On the day that California's burning, he's giving away $500 million to Ukraine. Ukraine! But that clip was from at least 5 or 6 years ago. Donald Trump was saying it back then. It's not some brand new situation. Oh my God, we've got forest fires in California. Hell, this happens every year. How many reports have you guys watched be it on CNN or on Fox or on wherever, where there's a new forest fire in California, hundreds of thousands of acres are burning, houses are in every year with California. I know I'm ranting and raving about this, but it's like, how many times do you have to make the same stupid mistake before you finally stop engaging in the behaviors that caused the mistake to happen? Are there going to be forest fires in California? Yes. I said this the other day. The law of probability sort of figures, yes, at some point you're going to have forest fires in California. Do they have to be as severe as what they are right now? No, they don't. TBA says it's not a mistake, it's on purpose. I don't disagree with you. I use the word mistake. I apologize. But yeah, and there are reports that Gavin Newsom would love to build the Olympic Village in the area, the Palisade of the Pacific Palisades area. Well, you know, if a bunch of houses burn down, am I saying that Newsom set the fires? No, I am not saying that. But gee, isn't it awful convenient that a piece of property that the state of California, the city of Los Angeles, would love to use for the purpose of building part of the Olympic Village just happens to go up in flames? So that clip from Trump was for at least 5 or 6 years ago. Okay, I got another one here. Trump, and this is again from Trump's presidency. He's standing right beside of Gavin Newsom. Now, it may not have been necessarily been related to a forest fire out there, but he's standing right beside of Newsom. Listen to this. It's not like Newsom didn't get the message. I don't know how much more plain you can make it.
It's cleaned out and protected. You've got to take care of the floors, the floors of the forests. Very important. You look at other countries where they do it differently, and it's a whole different story. I was with the president of Finland, and he said, we have a much different...
Hang on, guys.
We're a forest nation. He called it a forest nation. And they spend a lot of time on raking and cleaning and doing things, and they don't have any problem. And when it is, it's a very small problem. So I know everybody's looking at that, to that end, and it's going to work out.
I mean, I'm sorry. I know I'm ranting here this morning, but I can't help it. I cannot help it. Trump gave a similar speech around that time in California amidst the ashes. Gavin standing, yeah, I think that's the one. I mean, this is why I'm angry about this. Yeah, Ruben, and good morning to you, brother. Yeah, because it is injustice. Has nothing to do with the fact that they haven't cleaned out the underbrush and the everything else. They haven't cleaned around the power lines. Has nothing to do with the water reservoir tanks that they were required by law to build, that the people of California voted a bond referendum years ago. Remember that? 8 years ago, the people of California voted on Proposition 1, $7.5 billion for newer and more updated water reserve tanks. Oh, I know. It has nothing to do with them. You know what the problem is? Climate change. From the Associated Press, Biden climate advisor says California wildfires show, quote, you have to take the science seriously. Oh, my God. That walking corpse, John Podesta. Article by Matthew Daly, Dateline, Washington, D.C. The massive wildfires that killed 10 people in the Los Angeles area and caused billions of dollars in property damage are the latest sign of the growing threat posed by climate change, one of that President-elect Donald Trump will have to take more seriously than he did in his first term, a top advisor to President Joe Biden said. John Podesta, a.k.a. The Walking Dead, Biden's senior advisor for international climate policy, said one of the iconic images of Trump's first term showed him tossing paper towels to people in Puerto Rico who had been ravaged by a hurricane. Many critics called Trump's action disrespectful, especially after he disputed a death count from Hurricane Maria that had reached nearly 3,000 people. Quote, "You would think hopefully he would have learned from the public's reaction to that you would have to take the science seriously, but you have to take the facts seriously. You have to take the threat seriously." Oh, okay, John. Okay, John, let's talk about the facts. Let's talk about taking them seriously. How about this fact? 8 years ago, the people of California voted for a $7.5 billion bond referendum to build water reservoir tanks. And to this day, not one of them has been built. Not one of them has been completed. Deal with that fact. Deal with the fact that for at least 6 to 7 to 8 years, maybe, or longer, the state of California has been told you need to clean out the underbrush. You need to clean out all of this debris and underbrush that is serving as the fuel for these fires. You're making them even worse. Have you done anything about it in California, John? Have they done anything about there? No, they haven't. The fire department gets told. Hey, you're cutting our resources. We're not going to be able to respond to these fires correctly. Does anybody in Los Angeles listen? No. Deal with that fact, John. You want to take facts seriously? Take those facts and stick them in your ear, jackass. Zippy over on Rumble with a Rumble rant says, "I dragged myself in. It's not climate change, it's socialism, and socialism kills." Boy, you ain't wrong. You got, no, you do not have cat scratch fever. You have got truth on that one, brother. Oh my God. Thank you for the Rumble rant. I genuinely appreciate it. Yeah, and here's a good question. If we're going to take the science seriously, shouldn't you clean out the daggone forests? John. Oh my God. Just absolutely unbelievable. And then you got old Gavin. Again, the CYA on this is incredible. So Trump calls him out years ago on this to his face, telling him you need to clean up the forest floors. You need to get the combustion fuel out of here that's making these fires even worse. The people of California tell the state of California, we want you to put in more reservoir tanks and more water reserves. You've got water up in Northern California that's being diverted so that we can save the smelt, a 2.5-inch little fish. But none of this is Gavin's fault. Oh, no. And don't you dare criticize poor old Gavin, because he's doing the best he can. You don't believe me? Listen to him say it himself.
Do the right thing. This is an emergency. We can do all this dance and we have differences of opinion as it relates to all kinds of issues and values, and and that's fair game. And that's important. That dialectic's important. But having this kind of friction when it comes to emergency response, where the emergency responders, these heroes, 12,000 that are on the front lines right now, taking care of people, making sure people are still alive. We're still doing emergency maintenance, evacuation. We're still concerned about flare-ups and spotting. You got kids right now that don't have money for baby formula, and we're trying to get them disaster assistance. You have folks in hotel rooms that have money only for tonight and don't know what's going to happen. Haven't even had.
Hang on, folks.
Chance to see their homes. Here it's standing or it's here and it's not standing. We want to get them emergency assistance over the course of the next 18 months. That's what
they wouldn't have to have emergency assistance over the next 18 months, you jackass, if you'd actually do your job. They wouldn't have to worry about baby formula. 12,000 firefighters might not have to be out there putting their lives on the line if you'd actually done your job, you jackass, you idiot, you evil son of a bitch. You're standing there talking about, well, I don't see why we have this argument right now. I mean, my God, we've got people out there in hotel rooms and they've only got money for the next night. They might have some more money if you hadn't let their houses burn to the ground. You accomplice. Yes, I said accomplice. You're no different than the arsonists that are setting these damn fires. And yes, there are arsonists out there that are doing it. They caught one of them the other day. Zippy with another Rumble rant. Also, Newsom spent $20 billion on homelessness. Gee, that $20 billion might have been better served if they were worrying about fire and water reserves. You ever think about that? Oh, God. I'm sorry, guys. There is only so much stupid that I can take, and California has over the limit on stupid and evil. Because I'm sorry, it is evil when you prioritize a 2.5-inch fish versus the citizens of the property of the state that you took an oath to defend. I don't even know if I can go on with the rest of this clip. But you know what? I need to. Here you go.
So I was with the FEMA director today, and that's what the President of the United States and I are talking about, and I'd like to have that conversation with the next President of the United States. Let's turn the page as it relates to the new incoming president. We'd like him to have the spirit of the current president and have the backs of people so we can recover. I want him to visit and understand the magnitude of this scope, what happened to the American people that happen to reside here in California. I'm not interested in politicizing an event like this.
But you've already politicized it, Gavin. You already politicized this, brother. When you put a 2.5-inch fish above the safety and the welfare of your citizens, you already made a political statement. You politicized this all by yourself. You made decisions about politics when you diverted resources that should have been building water reserves and water reservoirs. You made a political statement when you took that money and you put it in other places in your state budget. Don't talk to me about not politicizing. Your politicization for the years leading up to this is what's led to this. Don't you dare talk to me or Trump or anybody else who is rightfully calling you out on it. You ought to get an earful so loud you go deaf. Deaf. All right. Last of this clip, and then we're going to move on. Oh, my God, this guy's raising my blood pressure. And he wants to be president. This wants to be president. Think about it, America.
I don't like the banality of it. I don't like the inhumanity of that. I would like people to focus on a collaboration between the executive in Washington, D.C. and in the state of California to help rebuild a community that's been completely ravaged.
That wouldn't be ravaged if you would have done your job. That wouldn't be ravaged if you hadn't made decisions about politics and policy that absolutely just... I can't... That man wants to be president. America, if you've got any common sense at all, and I pray God you still do, don't you ever let that man anywhere near 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue unless he's coming there for a visit. But don't hire him to be president. For the love of God, don't you dare vote for him. Tom Ellsworth was on the Patrick Bet David podcast the other day. This runs about 2 minutes, a little over 2 minutes, but it's worth every bit of it. Worth every bit of it. And you guys need to hear it.
State Farm non-renewed 69% of the policies it had in Pacific Palisades. Data point this morning confirmed. State Farm said last year, we're non-renewing 69% of the homes we insure currently today in Palisades. Why? Long-term brush risk and poor management of the common area.
You can't blame them.
No,
You cannot
I'm not
blame them.
blaming
I
them.
know you're not, but what I'm saying is you cannot blame. The business has to make profits. And when the regulators make their life a living hell and make them look bad, what do you want us to do? Take a loss every year?
Correct. Now I'm going to the punchline. Why did they do that? Because the county of LA and the city of LA had suspended brush removal in Palisades. This comes down to the county.
Are you joking?
Yeah, you can find it. You can find it was suspended here. Casual brush removal suspended here. Limited brush removal suspended here. This is all going to come out because Zach Levi
That's
and
when
other
Trump
people,
said he got to clean the floor, and the floor.
That's exactly right. And who did? By the way, to his credit, what do you say? You said get smarter people in the room with you.
Yeah.
Who did he praise? You know, the people in Finland have had policies, and they've been doing this for a while.
Right.
So he's not saying, "Hey, I'll fix it." He's saying, "You know, this problem has been solved."
There's another case study. We have it. They did it. Why don't we learn from them and fix it?
That's exactly right. And so I'm not down on the insurance companies. I'm saying the insurance companies are at the bottom of the waterfall, and at the top of the waterfall is the state with their policies and budget cuts on fire and brush suppression and all the things that they've done, despite the level of taxes they're collecting. And now they collect the tax. They have the money. Prices of homes are way up, so property tax is up. But what are they doing with the money? Homeless programs, sanctuary city programs are wasting the money on non-citizen spends. Citizen spends, you're keeping the valleys and the areas clear of brush, and you're working on that. Non-citizen spend, you have all these pet DEI projects. That's the upstream problem. The money was spent on other stuff.
I'm dropping that one in chat. Like I say, if you've got friends of yours, they're like, well, Gavin's doing the best he can and the mayor's doing the best she can. And, you know, we really shouldn't be criticizing them and yada, yada, yada. Oh, no, 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 no. Heck no. Don't you dare let them off the hook. Zippy with another Rumble rant. Thank you very much, sir. When the elites no longer fear of death for doing wrong, they turn into worse tyrants. Harsh, but not untrue, sir. Oh, wait a second. Gavin lost all of his homeless billions? Okay. Interesting. I did not know that. Interesting. Okay. These guys are the worst of the worst, as far as I am concerned. Just absolutely the worst of the worst. I cannot even begin. I mean, you hear the expression all the time. You cannot hate these governments enough. I don't know. And then about a day or two before the wildfires break out, Gavin's out there saying this. Here are the actual water availability facts reported just this week. Quote, now this is from his press office, okay? The Office of the Governor of California, the press office. In terms of water reliability and supply at this moment in Southern California, things look pretty solid, said Mike McNutt of the Los Vergenes Municipal Water District, which serves 75,000 people in northwest Los Angeles County. Orange County Water District Chief Hydrologist Roy Herndon said his agency, which supplies groundwater to the north half of the county, has enough supply to carry its 2.5 billion customers through the worst of any potential droughts, multiple years in a row of minimal rainfall. 3 years, no problem. I'd say even 5 years, Herndon said. The Metropolitan Water District of Southern California, which serves 19 million people, mostly with imported water, also has an abundance, with a record 3.8 million acre feet of water in storage, according to interim general manager Devin Upadhyay, who issued a statement last week. There's enough water to supply 40 million people for a year. Really? Then how come the hydrants were going dry? TBA over on Rumble says 2 days before the arsonists go out and do their dirty work, Gavin CYAs with a PSA announcement. LOL. Yeah, buddy. The Pacific Palisades Reservoir was empty. Absolutely empty. Dry as a bone. Taken offline, no less. And now Gavin wants an investigation into why that happened. The CYA on this is absolutely astounding. Absolutely astounding. Now, I've got a clip here from the Lars Larson show. I think you guys might be interested to hear this one. So, in a case like this, you would think that California would reach out to some of its neighbors for help, which, by the way, they did. But to give you an eye, oh, okay, hang on a minute. Can I? I saw that message, Ruben. Oh, Gavin misplaces 24B for homeless. Okay. I think it was. Okay. Yeah, please do. Please let me see that. Let me see that. I want to see that. So from the Lars Larson show, Gavin says he does not want to politicize what's happening in California. Well, the politics, in part, is what's making the situation worse. And here's a perfect example of what I'm talking about. Check this out.
So, California called for help. They said to some of their neighboring states, like Nevada and Idaho and Oregon and Washington, send us some fire rigs, send us some firefighters. We've got to get these fires out. Guess what happened? Did all those fire rigs and personnel go straight to the fire lines? No, they did not. They went to Sacramento. And why? Because California says if you send us your fire rig, it must first go to Sacramento for an inspection by Cal Fire. And only if it passes the inspection, and apparently it's taking some time, some of the crews have been held up, only then does it go to Pacific Palisades and start fighting those fires in Los Angeles. That's how crazy it is. And to make it even worse, on the way out of the state, after all those fire crews and rigs are done, they have to stop in Sacramento for a second inspection on their way out of state. So.
Oh no, I don't want to politicize this. Not at all. I don't want to politicize these actions. We need to work together to solve this. Gavin, your politics are making your situation worse out there. Unbelievable. Just unbelievable. Okay, hang on a minute, y'all.
Finally.
Hang on. I'm doing something here real quick because Gypsy just sent me something for by way of explanation. Oh. Hang on. This might be worth a listen. Oh, yeah, this is definitely going to be worth a listen. Hang on a minute. This is, again, from the Patrick Bet David show. And this must have been from a few years back. Let me pop this up here. Check this out, folks. Newsom is missing $24 billion.
So this is the governor of California, the great state of California, which he's destroyed the last 4 years under his reign. He's being asked, what happened for this $24 billion that you asked us taxpayers to fix homelessness? What happened to that money? Here's the exchange. Go ahead, Rob.
Doing enough to determine whether the money that's being plowed into homelessness is being well spent.
One of the vexing issues that was highlighted in the audit was local, and each city and county has different strategies and approaches. We've tried to level set that.
I'm sorry, Governor, I didn't hear responses to either of those questions. Do you acknowledge whether the money that the state isn't doing enough to ensure that the money is being well spent?
The audit did not surprise me. The state has advanced unprecedented investments. You're correct. And unprecedented interventions demanding more accountability with state money at the local level.
Yeah. What does that mean, buddy? Tom, what are your thoughts on Newsom and how he's being held accountable with the money and still doesn't give any answers?
Well, guess what? The questions that are being asked publicly of Gavin Newsom are the ones that are being asked privately by people that are leaking out all over the place about Kamala Harris. What you saw in the Kamala Harris campaign, you take a big stack of money, you give it to bureaucrats and politicians, and they spend it on micro programs and stuff. And there's consultants and there's skim all over that. We saw it in the Harris campaign. Take the billion in the Harris campaign that disappeared, multiply it by 20 over a couple of years. That's what's happening in California. There are consultants in that was lost. There are individual cities that each did things their own way, which was wasteful. You know, the whole point of a state government is to say, we're going to do it this way in every city, and you get some efficiencies like that. If you run a business like that, Pat, you ran an incredibly successful, great nationwide insurance, you know, with one playbook for sales, you had everybody marching together doing it. That's not how it works. You could have a Republican city in Orange County, they get money. You could have a Democrat city in Santa Barbara, they get money, and then they do it themselves. And then they pay their own consultants. And it's waste and it's grab and it's a lack of leadership. And that's what he doesn't want to own up to.
That's why he lost. In other words, apparently they did a state audit out there and they're like, unbelievable. Zippy with another Rumble rant. Learning time with Zippy. Bureaucrat definition. A process that creates rules, no matter how absurd, to absurdly enforce rules, no matter how absurd or the cost. Ding, 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 ding. School with Zippy. Thanks for sending that over, Gypsy. I appreciate it. I mean, yeah, it's on and on and on with these guys. Couple of, I'm going to skip that one. AI is an amazing thing, and somebody came up with a perfect description of what's going on out in California. I will not play the music to this, lest it get me in trouble with YouTube. But if you want an idea of what's going on in California, take a good look, folks. This is California to a T right now. They say that Nero fiddled while Rome burned. Well, now you've got Karen Bass fiddling. You've got Gavin fiddling. Rosie's running for her life. Tom Hanks, he's running for his life, although for various and different reasons. I mean, imagine the music of My Heart Will Go On from Celine Dion to these scenes, which that's the only reason why I'm clipping this out. Yeah, this is California right now. Totally. Absolutely amazing. Yeah. Absolutely amazing. Still my guitar gently weeps. Gavin's drinking water. Gavin's eating good food. And everything in and around Los Angeles is absolutely burning to the ground. Unbelievable. Hello, Bryce. No, wait a minute. Let me back this up a second. There's already a massive housing shortage. How are people going to live? Maybe government officials will finally think twice before flooding this country with millions of illegals. Good point. Sir, the fire hydrant is dry. Trans fire chief. Sir is not my pronoun. It's ma'am. Oh, Lord. There's 500,000 homeless in LA right now. 40,000 more new homeless people because of this fire. Karen Bass be like, refugees welcome them all. Yeah, Bryce, brother, yeah, I don't think you're wrong. I don't think you're wrong at all. You cannot hate these people enough. Truly, you cannot hate them enough. Unbelievable. Again, my apologies to you, my audience, for my ranting about this, but it's just unbelievable. It really is. On so many levels. It's unbelievable the level of evil. It's unbelievable the level of incompetence. Rant is love, rant is love. Thanks, Zippy. Apparently I'm living good then, because God, this stuff's making me rant all over the place. Jeez. Oh, mercy. All right. It is. What time is it? 12:30. My gosh, you guys are awesome for hanging around with me this long. Genuinely appreciate it. We're gonna move to the last car on this train, which is HodgePodge Stew. But before we do that, a real quick commercial. My name is Brian Tripp, and I'm the Front Porch Conservative. And if you've hung in with me long enough through my ranting and raving and antics and jokes and everything else, you have found your way to Front Porch Brunch, which is a weekend live stream that I do, talking about some items in the news, giving some analysis, giving you guys a chance to vent. And oh boy, we've all been venting this morning. Oh, mercy me. Anyway, glad to have you guys here. And if you're not a subscriber to my channel, please go ahead and subscribe. I'm getting real close on YouTube. As a matter of fact, hang on a minute, just for grins and giggles. Got to go look. Who knows? We might have picked up a sub during the show. Just never quite know sometimes. We are still sitting on 996. That's okay. We're 4 subscribers away from 1,000 on YouTube, and we're growing steadily on Rumble. So God bless you all. So please subscribe to the channel. Help us out. We're growing. We're doing our best. TBA says, you got to stop fooling yourself, Brian. What's going on in our country is not incompetence, nor is it mismanagement. All these things are being done purposely to destroy our nation. TBA, I'm not fighting. You're not wrong, and I sometimes give it more credit than I should. But yeah, the level of evil that's being done right now is absolutely incredible. Oh, you sent me something in Discord. Oh my. Well, let's have a look at this real quick. What'd you send me, darling? Oh, that's great. That's great. Hang on a minute. One last thought on this whole... come on. Come on. Help me out here. Let me see if this thing will... Yeah, I think it's going to work. One last thought on this whole thing that's going on in California. Consider the following. An old quote by Sun Tzu. That is so, so true. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, I am of the conclusion Gavin Newsom is evil. Absolutely evil. Thank you for that, Z Highness. I appreciate it. I really do. All right. I want to take you guys back in... Sorry. We are now at that portion of the show called HodgePodge Stew. And HodgePodge Stew are those stories that deserve to be talked about, but they don't get top of the fold in this new internet age. And I found some stuff. I was like, you know what? We really ought to get into this. I want to take you guys back in time to, I think it was August, maybe September of this year. And there were reports that Keir Starmer, the British Prime Minister, had either knew about or had sent over certain operatives from the Labor government to help out Democrat presidential candidate Kamala Harris. Something that was very, very unusual at the time. Well, I want to take you back in time to an article from the UK Daily Mail. And this was an interview with Eric Trump, President-elect Trump's middle child. Headline: Eric Trump warns Keir Starmer he risks poisoning the UK-US relationship with Labour interference in election. Article by Ross Ibbotson for the dailymail.com had the following. Eric Trump says England's prime minister is poisoning relations with U.S. by interfering in the U.S. election. In a deepening crisis for Sir Keir Starmer, the ex-president's son told the Daily Mail that it was pretty disappointing to learn that 100 Labour Party operatives had been dispatched from Britain to support Kamala Harris's campaign. Eric warned that if his dad is reelected on November 5th, polls increasingly predict that he will be, Starmer will find his actions have proved counterintuitive to UK-US relations. He dismissed any influence it could have on voters, saying that a British Kamala Harris supporter knocking on doors in Georgia or Florida, quote, wouldn't be well received. I have a general rule, and that's not getting involved in other countries' politics. Now, by the way, this is not some kind of, grand conspiracy theory out there in the ether. No, I mean, it's been widely reported. Keir Starmer either knew about or he sent over about 100 operatives who are supporters of the Labour Party in Great Britain to help out in the Kamala Harris campaign in some capacity, way, shape, or form. Now, whether they were middle to high level in the campaign strategy or, knocking on doors or whatever it was, it was 100 people. Well, a post came out this morning, and it may be that Eric Trump's prediction about relations between the U.S. and Great Britain being strained because of this, it may be this is about to become true. I want to read this to you. It's from a gentleman named Jim Ferguson. He's a businessman, an entrepreneur. He's founder of the Freedom Train International. And he writes the following. Trump administration prepares response to Starmer's election interference. In an unprecedented twist in global politics, the Trump administration is rumored to be preparing a dramatic response to revelations of foreign interference in the 2024 U.S. presidential election. With undeniable proof that UK Labour leader Keir Starmer allegedly orchestrated a covert operation involving 100 staffers to support Donald Trump's rival, Kamala Harris, the political landscape has been shaken to its core. As Donald Trump triumphantly prepares to return to the White House, insiders close to the administration suggest that his approach to this betrayal could mark a turning point in U.S.-UK relations. The weight of evidence reportedly leaves no room for doubt. This was not just meddling, it was a calculated assault on American democracy. And now, Trump may be ready to wield the force of his presidency to hold the Starmer government accountable. Behind closed doors, discussions are said to be taking place within the Trump administration's inner circle. Options under consideration range from economic sanctions targeting Starmer's allies to severe diplomatic actions that could isolate the UK on the world stage. One unnamed senior advisor was quoted as saying, quote, this isn't just politics, it's treason against the American people. The response will be swift and decisive. Whispers of even more drastic measures have surfaced, with some speculating that the administration may seek an international tribunal to prosecute Starmer for violating U.S. election integrity. Others suggest that covert operations to destabilize the Labour-led UK government could be on the table, a stark reminder that the Trump presidency is unafraid to take bold action when American sovereignty is at stake. Well, we'll see what happens. And again, this could be just speculation. This could be any number of different things. We'll see how this shakes out. But yeah, I don't think Trump's real happy with the British right now for any number of different reasons. All right. What else do we have here? You know, this modern age in which we find ourselves is causing a lot of things to change. And I'm sure you guys have all heard about this this trend toward AI girlfriends or robotic girlfriends. Well, here's a tweet with some updated information about that. And I'm not quite sure how to react. Well, I think I know how to react to it. But anyway, tech firm releases a life-sized AI robot girlfriend that can, quote, express emotion and talk to you for the affordable price of $175,000. The robot, Aria, says she's interested in meeting Tesla's Optimus robot. Robotics CEO Andrew Kygul says he is trying to make robots that are, quote, indistinguishable from humans. Quote, by incorporating advanced motor technology, Melody enhances movement fluidity, modularity, and interaction, making her a versatile option for a variety of applications, Robotics said. Melody was created with the intention of having robots that are easy to travel with and modify for various forms of personal interaction. The robots were on display at the 2025 Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas. And to give you an idea of what this thing looks like, now there she is in all her glory. So let me see if I can stop the spinning circle of death. Yeah, there's the AI robot. Wow. I will say this. Gentlemen, I would generally advise you no, but on the other hand, if you can run the calculation and $175,000 up front is cheaper than a long term of alimony, I'm not saying, but you know. Chris from My Morning Mayhem over on Rumble says, wouldn't it be better if they couldn't talk? Just saying. I don't know. Zippy with a Rumble rant, and again, thank you for that Rumble rant, sir. Androids are dull. Wake me up when there are cat girls. I'll keep that in mind, my friend. I'll keep that in mind. TBA says, and they are making these things because real women are too scary. You could split the cost 6 or 7 ways and do dollar cost averaging. Well, there's a thought too. Instead of like having the AI robot girlfriend around the house 7 days a week, you could split the cost 7 ways, and the 7 parties get the AI robot for 1 day of the week. Okay. All right. Okay. Oh, so Japan has cute maid AI robots. Okay. Interesting. Very interesting. All right. Now, here's one for you. Joe Biden has now reacted to news that Meta is changing its policies about content moderation. He's not real happy about it. Matter of fact, he was holding a press-related event at the White House the other day, and he had some comments about this whole situation. This, to me, is interesting, especially in light of the next clip that I'm going to play. So here's Joe Biden at the White House talking about Meta's decision to change its policies on content moderation and some of the other moves that Mark Zuckerberg is making. Check this out.
Let's take a listen.
Of
walking away from fact checking, as well as not reporting anything having to do with discrimination regarding TPS, I find to be just contrary to American justice, the way we talk about one another. Telling the truth matters. I mean, I know I'm on national television, but you all are local reporters and national reporters. I'm not, this not a legit real question, but what do you think? You think it doesn't matter that they let be printed where millions of people read it, things that are simply not true? I mean, I don't know what that's all about. It's just completely contrary to everything America's about. We want to tell the truth.
You know, now the statement about telling the truth coming from Joe Biden is absolutely laughable, but okay, let's continue on to hear what the soon-to-be former president has to say.
We haven't always done it as a nation, but we want to
Oh, ain't that the truth?
tell the truth. And the idea that, you know, a billionaire can buy something and say, by the way, from this point on, we're not gonna fact check anything. And you know, when you have millions of people going online, reading this stuff, it is, anyway, I think it's really shameful.
Mr. President, do you regret your decision to run?
Okay, so that's Joe's statement about Elon and Zuckerberg, etc., so on. Well, when you hear this next clip, you're going to kind of understand why, in part, Zuckerberg is getting away. Gypsy, okay. Well, all right. Hold that thought. Hold on to that. Because we've got a clip from Zuckerberg being on Joe Rogan's show the other day, and he gets into a discussion about what he was like with the Biden administration really early on. And if Zuckerberg is changing his ways, which, by the way, I'm not totally convinced with this guy. His motives to me are very murky in all this. So that said, but here's Zuckerberg on the relationship between Meta and the federal government. So if Zuckerberg is changing his ways, you might begin to understand why. Check this out.
These people from the Biden administration would call up our team and like scream at them and curse, and it's like these documents it's all kind of out there.
Did you record any of those phone calls?
I don't think we but I think
I want to listen.
I mean, there are emails. the emails are published. It's all kind of out there, and they're like,
oops, hang on a second, folks. Here we go.
And basically, it just got to this point where we were like, no, we're not gonna take down things that are true. That's ridiculous. They wanted us to take down this meme of Leonardo DiCaprio looking at a TV talking about how 10 years from now or something, you're going to see an ad that says, okay, if you took a COVID vaccine, you're eligible for, for this kind of payment, like this sort of like class action lawsuit type meme. And they're like, no, you have to take that down. And we just said, no, we're not going to take down humor and satire. We're not going to take down things that are true. And then at some point, I guess, I don't know, it flipped a bit. I mean, Biden, when he gave some statement at some point, I don't know if it was a press conference or to some journalists, where he basically was like, these guys are killing people. And I don't know, then like all these different agencies and branches of government basically just like started investigating and coming after our company. It was brutal. It was brutal.
Wow.
So, again, take it for what it's worth. You know, needless to say, I am very suspicious where Zuckerberg is concerned. I really am. Okay. But you did every one. Yeah, he did. I mean, he may have not liked the treatment that he and his people were getting, but you still went along with it. I'm just saying, Mark. I mean, if this is your, mea culpa after the fact. I'm sorry, but dude, you're still just as guilty. You may be changing your tune now, but I'm not convinced. I'm really not. All right. Last thing in HodgePodge stew. By now, you guys have seen the famous clip from former President Carter's funeral at the National Cathedral, right? You've seen this. Hang on. Here we go. You have all these very famous people sitting around talking to each other. Oh, yes. Kamala's looking back. She's not happy. There they are, just, doing their best to be civil to each other. But yeah, in the background, you can see Obama and Trump. They just chatting it up like they're old buddies, right? So everybody's seen the clip of Trump and Obama engaging in, conversation. And as you might expect, people are wondering, what did they say to each other? That's a fair question. Now, some people have speculated that it might have gone like this. Trump was asking about, Michelle's prostate exam. That's a little bit cheeky, but you get the idea. So people have been wondering what was said. Well, it even went so far, the New York Post hired a lip reader saying, they need to find that Trump was saying to Obama, we got to find a quiet place to talk. We got a matter of importance to talk about it at the funeral. Well, yeah, let me read this, or a little bit of this anyway. Yeah, Trump says to Obama, I pulled out of that. It's the conditions. Can you imagine that? Yada, yada, yada. So yeah, they're like, call me up after the I can't talk. We have to find a quiet place sometime. This is a matter of importance, and we need to do this outside so that we can deal with it certainly today. Okay, so all right. Now, one young wag came up with what he thought is how the conversation went down. And I'm going to play this last one just for grins and giggles. Now, I will warn you up front, language, but some of this is downright funny. And like I say, I don't know who comes up with some of this stuff, but it's really, really good. Anyway, we have one possible interpretation of how this conversation went. So be advised, there is a certain language warning on this, but I think it's pretty funny, and I thought you guys get a kick out of it. So with that, here is what one person thought may have been said among the various parties at the National Cathedral during former President Carter's funeral.
You need to take climate change more serious, Trump.
Well, hang on. Here we go.
Oh, fuck off, Al. Nobody even likes you. Hey, buddy. Good to see you. Go fuck yourself, Mike, you punk-ass bitch. Take that coin and shove it up your ass. Hey, Trump. Hey, Barack. Man, you smell good. I know. Everything I do is good. Oh, I love it when Michelle wears her cologne. Where is, whatever it is you're married to? I left her at home. She, left the damn toilet seat up again. What? So we got in a fight. She left the toilet seat up? Yeah, she does it all the time. Well, why don't she just sit down? Well, she says the water's too cold. When I moved into the White House, all the toilet seats were up. That's Michelle. Women, right? Yeah, she does a good job at hiding it, though. Can't be any bigger than a Tic Tac, am I right? That's why my breath is so minty fresh. What? I can't believe I gotta sit next to that racist-ass Trump. Hey, Kamala. I'm not answering you. They're handing out second-place awards at Willie's house. Oh, if he were outside right now, I'd give him a piece of my mind, sweetie. I know you would, Dougie. You're my Superman, baby. Hey, Dougie. Yes, boss. Damn it, Dougie. Go fix me a bag of Cheetos. Let me right up, sir. Oh, man, you made Doug your bitch. I make everybody my bitch. I wish I could make Michelle my bitch. Ha! Good luck with that. Do I look pretty today, Bill? Damn, Elena sure looks hot today. Bill, I'm not wearing any panties. Get the hell out of my weight room, Hilda. Bill! And stop grossing me out. I can't believe you just did that. A real woman. Damn you, Bill. Oh, Melena, you look.
Okay. Yeah, that is part of how that conversation may have gone. We'll just leave it right there. Sorry, folks. Got a little spicier than I imagined. Anyway. All right. With that, we're going to go ahead and bring this train into the station. And I want to thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today. And by the way, 6 o'clock tonight, I am hanging out with my good buddy Darius from Real Talk. I will be on his channel 6 o'clock this evening, along with my friend Tracy Barkley from Gen X Marks the Spot. We're going to be hanging around, talking together, going over some stuff, and stop by his channel. Help him out. He's working his way up there too. He's on like almost 870. He's knocking on the door, getting to 1,000. So help him out. If you're not subscribed to Darius's channel, give him a shout. Stop by tonight, 6 o'clock Eastern. We'd appreciate it. So with that, we're going to bring this train into the station. Thank you guys so much again for being here for Front Porch Brunch. We'll be back this week with more videos, more live streams, hanging out with you guys. Wednesday night, 6 p.m. Eastern is the Wednesday night newsroom on my channel this time. Also, hit the like. Yes, absolutely. Hit the like button. Leave a comment and chat. Please help out Mr. Algorithm in that regard. And in the meanwhile, I love you guys very much. For those of you who are going to be on Darius's channel with us tonight, 6 o'clock Eastern. Otherwise, I'll catch up with you guys come Monday, if not sooner. And remember, as always, the words of that legendary philosopher, Tom T. Hall, when he said, "It's faster horses, younger lovers, older whiskey, and more money." Love you guys.